Brian Hoops is on the telephone line with us, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, you're on the southern edge of the weather, it looks like, this year. Of course, you guys have had enough, bad weather in Springfield, Missouri, but you guys are going to get hit in your northern area with some, it looks like, heavy snow over the weekend.
Yeah, it looks like that is a real possibility, but what we are going to get in this area is very cold temperatures, at least for this time of year. And because we've had such warm temperatures, we've had wheat come out of dormancy. My grass is green and probably ready to be mowed here in my yard, but our wheat is growing, and a lot of the wheat is in the head stage. And so if you look at our temperatures, 15, 16 degrees for a low Sunday to Tuesday morning, we could see some winter kill of this wheat crop. And clients in Oklahoma say the same thing. Now, they don't look to get as cold. They're probably going to be in that 25, 26 degrees. If it's that temperature for long enough, we could see winter kill. And that's what you're seeing drive this wheat market higher. Kansas City wheat up 18 cents today off of this cold forecast. It's a little bit colder today forecast than what it was yesterday or even the day before. So that's given us some strength, and that seems to be spilling over into the corn market. The fact that crude oil has erased $3 losses early this morning to now post mild gains, is in fact helping all the grain markets to come off of their lows. We're seeing wheat lead the charge higher on that fundamental news, but also beans have well off of their lows. Corn now a couple cents higher as well. So markets are still very sensitive to what happens with the oil market and fund activity, but we're also very sensitive to supply issues. And one thing that could affect supply is winter kill, and that's why we're seeing such big premiums being placed in this wheat market today. Yeah,
I'm looking at the other wheat contracts, too. May Chicago wheat's up 14 plus cents as well. So what are you thinking about as far as marketing, Brian? You going to do some marketing maybe ahead of the acreage report, or are you going to wait to see what the acres look like?
Yeah, to be honest, we've been doing some, or have been recommending to do some marketing in 5% increments, so you get up in that 15 to 25% sales recommendations right now. And if prices allow, we'll continue to recommend to make sales all the way up into that acreage report. I think we're putting a large premium into this market right now before we get the crop planted. I am fearful that if we get the crop planted and we get that Strait of Hormuz opened up where we can freely ship oil, we could actually see prices start to move back lower. And you know how they say it's a staircase higher, elevator shaft lower. I'm afraid it could be a swift drop for crude oil, and could be that way for the grain markets as well.
Well, Brian, we're going to talk to you again an hour and 10 minutes or so. At that time, get some targets maybe moving forward. One thing I have noticed is activity in cattle. Looks like feeder cattle all of a sudden turned around. Live cattle still a little bit of pressure. What do you think we're going to end up cash-wise this week?
We've had a good share of our cash already traded. I think there'll be some cleanup trades. We did see the northern trade at 235 and 372 on a dress basis, so 5 lower live and 8 lower dressed. And there was some southern trade at 235 and 236, $4 to $5 lower. I suspect if it's any cleanup trade today, it'll be within that range and not breaking out of it one way or the other.
Brian, how can we find out more about Midwest Market Solutions?
Right, you can check out our website, which is MidwestMarketSolutions.com, or you can give me a call directly, 417-501-5132.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you in an hour and 10 minutes. Midwest Market Solutions. Brian Hoops with us. 12:55 on the big show clock. Your top 10 have now been posted. Talking about the top 10 vote getters in the Best Burger contest. This is the real deal. This is the original search for the best burger. It is sponsored by the Iowa Beef Industry Council and your Iowa Cattlemen's Association. It's underway right now. Winner will be announced coming up on May 1st as we start off May Beef Month here on the Big Show. Well, Dwayne, we have on the telephone line with us right now Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. And Brian, maybe he doesn't know this yet, but he's going to be joining you at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning.
He will be tomorrow morning, 5 and 6 o'clock. So I'm excited about that when it all came together, and we can continue the conversation tomorrow morning that we're going to have right now. So
yeah, Brian, what's going on? We're seeing wheat off and running today. What's pushing that wheat market higher?
Yeah, we've got a lot of headline risk in the markets with the war and crude oil, either sharply higher, sharply lower, depending on how the market news wants to trade. Today, wheat's acting a little bit independently and trading off its own fundamentals. It is looking at forecasts. While you guys are going to get some snow and farther north is going to get a lot of snow, the area down here in the winter wheat plains is going to be without snow but very cold. And so that wheat crop that has been reacting to the warmer than normal conditions across the plains, with plenty of moisture, it's growing. The grass is all green and probably needs to be mowed here in my yard. But that wheat crop it has shown some heads. And if it has a head exposed, it is subject to winter kill. So we may see this crop actually get hurt by the cold snap. It's not expected to be it's only going to be in the 20s in Oklahoma. Here in Missouri, we could see 15, 16 degrees, but that crop is subject to a hard freeze if, in fact, that does happen.
So, Brian, I'm curious, and I've not heard a lot of talk about this. Are any of those areas affected by the wildfires and so forth?
No, not so much.
Okay.
Some of those areas, it's more of these areas that have been have had a lot of moisture and the crop has really grown and taken off, and so it may not be that western part of the state that is looking at maybe conditions that wouldn't quite be as dry. They wouldn't have grown or matured quite as quickly.
Okay. Hey, what about livestock? We're seeing a lot of volatility in that live cattle and feeder cattle market again today.
Yeah, it looks like the cash trade's been pretty much wrapped up for this week, as we've seen, feedlots come in and sell at lower money. Now we're seeing a little choppy type action, a lot of choppy trade in the futures today. I was surprised we opened a little bit higher because there was news last night that the JBS plant in Greeley, Colorado, that's a 5,500-day kill facility, is going to suspend operations. There's a planned strike that's going to happen on Monday, and that plant may not even open ever again. They're taking some maintenance time right now, and
wow.
So a lot of those kills are being shifted to other JBS plants, and it's a bad situation, but there may not be a kill facility there after this strike is over.
All right, Brian. Hey, we'll talk more tomorrow morning, but how can our Big Show listeners get in touch with you?
Our number directly is 417-501-5132.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Brian Hoops with Market Solutions.